Every morning he follows the same routine. Every evening he plans to end his life. This is the story of how he fails and why that failure saves him. A Man Called Ove is not a story about a grumpy old man. It is a story about grief, love, and the quiet ways people pull one another back into life. Ove is a widower who has lost his wife, his job, and his sense of purpose. Rules and routines are all he has left. To the outside world, Ove is rigid, angry, and difficult. But beneath his strict exterior lies a man who once loved deeply and lost everything that gave his life meaning. Life after loss. Ove's life revolves around his late wife, Sanja, whose warmth balanced his severity. After her death, Ove sees no reason to continue living. He makes repeated attempts to end his life, each one interrupted by the unexpected needs of others. These interruptions are tragic, yet often darkly humorous, revealing how life refuses to let go of him. A rigid man with a gentle core. As the story unfolds, we learn about Ove's past, an orphaned childhood, repeated injustices, and a life lived by principles rather than privilege. His anger is not cruelty, it is fear of chaos and moral decay. Ove believes rules exist to protect people from indifference. Rax, connection is unavoidable. Despite his resistance, new neighbors, especially the spirited and compassionate Parvana, draw Ove back into the world. He fixes things, solves problems, and reluctantly becomes someone others depend on. Without choosing it, Ove becomes needed again. Choosing life, quietly, Ove does not change dramatically. He does not become cheerful or soft-spoken. What changes is simpler and deeper. He allows himself to stay. By helping others, Ove reconnects with life, not through hope, but through responsibility and belonging. A Man Called Ove reminds us that what saves people is not optimism, but connection. Life continues to reach out, even when we no longer ask for it. Next, we'll explore how Ove's journey reveals the quiet power of community, grief, and human persistence.
Today, we're diving into one of the most unlikely success stories in modern literature. It's a book about a grieving, grumpy old widower who honestly just wants everyone to leave him alone. And yet, somehow, this little story became this massive global hit that readers all over the world described with one really surprising word: healing. So, how on earth did that happen? I mean, this is really the heart of the mystery, isn't it? The main character, Ove, is 59 years old. He's been pushed into retirement. His wife, the love of his life, has died, and his only real plan is to join her. By pretty much every measure, he's a deeply, deeply unlikable guy. So how does a character like that become a hero people absolutely adore? So the premise itself is, well, it's pretty grim, but the reaction to it was anything but. And one of the most fascinating parts of this whole puzzle comes from South Korea, where this book became a phenomenon. And get this, the main audience wasn't older folks, but people in their 20s and 30s. They bought this book way more than any other bestseller. On the surface, that makes absolutely no sense. But when you dig a little deeper, it all starts to click. To solve this mystery, first, we really have to get to know the man himself. Because he isn't just some random grumpy old guy. Readers all over the world, and especially those younger readers, saw something in his stubbornness that just clicked with how the world feels right now. You know, in Korea, there's this fantastic word, kondae. It's for that specific kind of stubborn, condescending old man who's always lecturing you. And yeah, at first glance, Ove is a total kondae. But that's not what readers saw. They looked right past that and saw an idealist. They saw a man with an unbreakable moral code in a world that, let's be honest, feels like it's losing its principles. And that's the real key. He wasn't seen as just a crank. He was seen as a kind of tragic hero. This literary analysis from Korea calls him a modern Don Quixote. And it's perfect, right? He's fighting for his own sense of right and wrong, tilting at these windmills of modernity in a world he just doesn't get anymore. There's something both ridiculous and incredibly noble about it. And his grumpiness, it wasn't just random anger. It was all part of this strict personal code. He believed a man is what he does, not what he says. He drove a Saab because it was Swedish, and that meant quality. He prowled his neighborhood checking on things, not because he was nosy, but because he believed in order and community. It's that consistency, that sense of stability, that I think a lot of people are really craving today. Okay, so that's the character, but his appeal isn't just about who he is. It's about the incredible journey the author takes him on. It's actually a classic type of story, and it's designed to do something very specific. So, literary experts would call this a morality redemption story. Basically, it's a story that takes a character from being selfish to being selfless. And Ove, he starts at the most selfish place you can possibly imagine. He just wants to die. He's trying to completely and utterly remove himself from the world. And this is the brilliant engine that drives the whole plot. It's almost comical. Every single time Olve tries to go through with his plan, the world literally knocks on his door and pulls him back. His new neighbors can't park a trailer to save their lives. Another person needs a ride to the hospital. He has to save a total stranger who falls onto the train tracks. It's like the universe just refuses to let him go. And this is where you get the book's central message. Ove's healing, his redemption, it doesn't come from some soul-searching journey. It is literally forced on him by the clumsy, annoying, desperate needs of the exact same people he's trying to get away from. His purpose finds him. Okay, so let's go back to that wild success in South Korea, because it's really the perfect case study for understanding why this book's message about community just hit so hard. I mean, just look at this data. It's pretty amazing. For a book about a 59-year-old dude, more than 60% of the people who bought it were between 20 and 40 years old. That blows the market average out of the water. This wasn't some book for retirees. This was a book that Gen X and millennials were grabbing. And you know what else? Its success wasn't some flash-in-the-pan thing driven by a huge ad budget. This sales chart shows a slow, steady climb over 10 weeks. That, right there, is the classic sign of powerful word of mouth. People were reading it, they were loving it, and they were immediately running to their friends and saying, "You have to read this." Of course, a phenomenon this huge wasn't just going to stay in one country or on the page. The story's themes, grief, community, finding purpose, they were just perfect for a big screen adaptation that could reach a global audience. And the Hollywood movie A Man Called Otto with Tom Hanks really proved just how universal this story is. The main ideas stayed the same, but they swapped out the cultural details. Ove became Otto. A small town in Sweden became industrial Pittsburgh. And I love this detail, Ove's precious Saab became an American Chevrolet. A totally different car, but a symbol of the exact same kind of stubborn, principled loyalty. In the end, the author himself, Fredrik Backman, really hits the nail on the head. This story isn't just about one grumpy old man. It's about how all of our tiny little choices, helping a neighbor move, giving someone a ride, teaching them how to drive, all those little things add up to create the entire fabric of what we call a community. So the big takeaway here is this. Ove's story hit home not because he was so special, but because he was so normal. He's a reflection of the loneliness a lot of us feel, but he's also this powerful symbol of the real impact we can have when we're just forced to connect with each other. And that kind of leaves us with one last question to think about. Who's the grumpy but secretly capable person on your street, just waiting for someone to knock on their door and ask for a little help?